don't have a communication system that's two-way. You had it even in the earlier vertical system, but here you don't. Even with television, which came after cinema, which is the beginning, not quite the beginning of what I call the information technology area time, did not have it. But now with IT, for instance, when I say IT, what am I talking about? I'm talking about YouTube, I'm talking about Facebook, I'm talking about Twitter, and all these things. You suddenly find that everybody is on equal ground. And just as much as you can throw in your ideas, you can have people reacting to it immediately and throw counter ideas at you. When you make a film, you don't have that. You sit there, you're playing God. But the whole equation starts to change. And the recognition of this now is something that I do believe is happening among younger people. Because cinema itself has to undergo a change. It cannot remain the way it is. Already it is starting to change. This is the process by which it will continue to happen. And as far as I'm concerned, I'm very happy to see that this process is going on. Like, to give you a small example, we run a film festival in Mumbai. It's called MAMI, the Mumbai International Film Festival. Now, this particular film festival, a few years ago, we decided that since a lot of people, young people, were making films in different ways, on handycam, on various kind of video methodologies and technologies that you had, one of the things that they were also doing was to making films on cell phones. Now, we said, why don't we have a competition? We give awards, and we give handsome money awards even, for anybody who makes a film that will win a prize, ages between 15 and 25, and you can make films on the cell phone if you want. And it was quite extraordinary, the response to this. Last year, we had over 800 entries. The judges had a very tough time looking at all those films. So, the use of cinema as genuine self-expression, this is something that, because this is very different from in the kind of films that I make or Sandeep makes or anybody else makes in the professional world, because you are caught up in also the commercial side of filmmaking. You are caught up with the idea that you spend so much money, it has to be recovered, and you also have to make a profit. And that reminds me of what Jean Cocteau said many years ago. He said, the only time cinema can become an art is when it becomes as easy or as inexpensive as using a piece of paper and a pen. And that's why it's not yet an art. Like when you write poetry, you don't need, what do you invest in? You don't invest anything. You invest your mind, your imagination, but beyond that, you don't do that. You don't do anything. You don't have to worry about the fact that you have to spend so much money to make a film. So the idea that technology itself is changing, is simplifying. On one level, of course, it's becoming much more expensive, etc., etc. On the other way, it is making more people involve themselves by expressing themselves in the cinema, in film, on film, and using the language of film. And the language of film itself continues to keep evolving and changing and so on. So that leads me to yet another point, which is that cinema actually, now as far as India is concerned, it's going to be 100 years since the first Indian film was commercially made. Dada Saheb Phalke made in 1930, and so next year happens to be the anniversary year. 100 years is a very short time. But as far as cinema is concerned, already the last 100 years of cinema, except for a few films that have broken out of their time and have remained there as classics, among them, of course, as far as India is concerned, there are more films of Satyajit than anybody else in that lot. But otherwise, films, there's very little that films from the past will teach you? Very little. So I keep thinking that films really have only a present and a future. There's hardly been a serious past, which you can say something you can fall back on. Because unless, if you fall back on, you're only making a retro film. You're not making a film that actually does anything for anybody in terms of the experience. You're just recycling a certain kind of experience. So you have to think in terms of the cinema, in terms of its present and future, and particularly now. You see, the Industrial Revolution took about 250, 300 years. This information processing revolution is